You're going to be on the second segment of the show.
Okay.
I got someone coming in later who'll be on the first segment.
Okay.
Uh, did you want to talk about how you got into writing? What inspired you to write?
Yes.
What kinds of things do you write?
Yes.
Um, how many works have you done? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any samples of your work that
Yes,
you
I do.
say?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I picked out two. I
Okay.
have plenty that I brought with me, but I picked two.
Okay. What would those titles be?
The first title is Hunger of the Soul,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one is I Too Am American.
Okay. I too am American. Now, for time purposes, approximately how many minutes would you say each one is?
3 minutes. It's
Okay.
not real long.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about? So I
Hmm.
can make sure I ask the questions.
Yes. I would like to speak on um, having during high school.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to write the books, and in junior year of high school is when I was diagnosed with a mental illness. So I want to cover that also.
Oh, okay. And when you were diagnosed with that, how did that make you feel?
Well, at first, I was really stunned. I didn't believe the doctors, didn't believe anybody, and so I was embarrassed and
Mm-hmm.
ashamed
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know what people would think of me, type of thing.
Right. So how does that tie in with your being a writer?
Well, it made me understand and realize that everyone has different struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And since everyone has different struggles, everyone's struggle is going to be a little different. So, with being a writer, I wanted to let everyone know that even though I have a diagnosis, it didn't stop me or hold me back from completing my dreams.
Mm. Good, 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 good. Okay, well that's kind of what we'll be touching on then.
Okay.
And anything else that comes to mind as we're having the conversation, just feel free to throw it out.
Okay.
But I try to make this a very informal conversation, so it's
Mhm.
just like you and I are just sitting here talking.
Okay. Okay.
And my questions are basically going to stick with what I said. So
Okay.
that's how we do it. That's how we
Okay.
roll here.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. We will welcome you back to the Urban Meat Show. We have a young lady with us here today, and her name is Therza P. Cox. And if you've ever had aspirations of being a writer, or a writer of poetry, or novels, or stories, and maybe you just didn't get the inspiration or you didn't get the encouragement, maybe this interview might help to encourage you. I'd like to introduce her once again, Therza P. Cox. We want to welcome you to the Urban Beat Show, Therza.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You are a writer, you are a poet, and you are locally homegrown. And I think this is important because a lot of people think that to find someone who has this kind of talent, you have to look outside of Toledo,
Right.
but that is not necessarily the case.
So true.
Tell us a little bit about your background. What inspired you to write? What got you to writing? How long have you been writing?
Well, my mother, Karen Cox, was a big inspiration because she's always was so encouraging. And she passed away in 99 when I was 18 years old. She would always encourage me to the best of her ability, even if she didn't have the abilities to write the same way that I did. She always focused on me learning how to create and be creative, and she always told me continue to write. So, um, growing up, I grew up in Hilltop, and it was really a community of people that really were together. They were really close back then. I grew up around a lot of people, so a lot of people were, you know, the way they were, but everyone always was together. That's the way it was back then. So that's how it was. And what really, really got me writing was that my mother always pushed me a little bit. She always said, go ahead, write and read it to me. Because she wasn't the best reader, but she loved to hear the reading. She loved to hear me create and be creative. And that's what really mattered to me.
So your background, growing up in Hilltop here in Toledo, and the realization that people were kind of together almost like a family, did this inspire you to write? Do you have some of your background, some of your upbringing in your writings?
Well, a little bit. I have a lot of background growing up as a teenager, because I started writing the book when I was a sophomore in high school at Rogers High School. I remember sometimes even being in class writing poems for this particular book and these book projects. So it was very important that I kept the poems everywhere I would go. If I moved, I made sure that I had them, and they were always available to me. No matter how many years it was, they were always there.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something to me, Therza, before we started the program, that you were diagnosed with a mental illness. In high school, when you were in high school, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame, because at that time in my life I wasn't educated about mental illness. I was told, well, people with mental illness are just termed as crazy. So there was always this stigma behind it. Even when I was a child, it was always that stigma of, well, you know, these crazy people don't really do anything. They're just crazy. They just sit around and talk to themselves, and it was really an embarrassment to me. I didn't want anyone to see me walk inside of a counselor's agency or anything, because I was so embarrassed. I had no idea what it was really like.
And this was a number of years ago. How have you progressed since then?
Well, since then, I've realized that every situation is going to be entirely different for each person. And since each person has their own life to live, I've realized that everyone has a chance to do better. Everyone has an opportunity to evolve and change for the better. So that's what I've learned. And I've learned also that anyone can make a difference, whether it's saying hi to someone or telling them, hey, you look nice today, or just giving us a good smile. You know, that can brighten someone's day.
Because a lot of people that have been diagnosed with a mental illness, as you mentioned, it can be embarrassed, and it might be something that they might say, well, you know, I'm going to give up because I can't function in society because society will look down on me. But you have kind of worked through that, and your talent shines despite that. With your writing ability, have you had a chance to talk about your writings or have a reading someplace for others to hear your writings?
Yes. Last year, when my first book, Life is a Story, a collection of poetry, came out, it was around February. I was invited to be a guest speaker at the Northwest Ohio Psychiatric Hospital. My cousin, Diane Cox Buchanan, works there, and also my stepmother, Jeanette Martin, works there also. And Jeanette, I believe, was the one who asked for me to be a part of the program.
So you have written a couple of books?
Yes, I have two, and I'm working on a third.
And these are books of poetry?
Yes.
Where do you get your inspirations to write your poetry?
Well, usually the way I get inspiration is, it could be everyday inspiration. It could be anything. It could be a dream, or it could be because I walked down the street and I just thought to myself and said, this life is so beautiful, I'm just going to write about it. And that's how I usually get the inspiration.
You said this life can be so beautiful?
Yes.
And see, that's something to hear. That's encouraging to hear because even with what you've gone through, you can still see the beauty in life. I think that's really encouraging.
Right. Thank you.
Let's kind of give the folks some examples of your writings. What will the first one be that you're going to recite?
The first one is going to be Hunger of the Soul.
Okay.
This one comes from my second book, I believe, Symbolic Rhythm, a poetry book.
Okay.
Okay, Hunger of the Soul. The hunger of my soul is presently deep in the restoration of my mentality. I need all of the necessities and amenities to bind the frustrations that hinder me. I have awakened spiritually. Emotionally, I am equipped to handle whatever rocks are thrown in the path of my life. With a brick of knowledge in my hand, I can learn to fight the constant battle of words that are thrown my way. I find great comfort every day. I have learned to pray 5 times a day. I want to be closer to He who created man out of clay. He is the God of Moses, Abraham, and Jesus. May He grant me what I have been longing for, that is, to be loved eternally by He who has created me from a single bent rib. I will give Him the honor for as long as I live. Though my sins are great in number, His mercy will endure forever.
Wow. There's a lot in that 2 minutes worth of poetry.
Thank you.
A whole lot.
Thank you.
Let's go right into the other one. You have another one for us.
Yes. It's titled, I Too Am American. This one is also, I believe, this one is in Symbolic Rhythm also. So, I don't know the page numbers, but it's in there. I Too Am American. I come to you with open arms and a heart filled with love and compassion. Please welcome me with strong embrace. I, too, am a part of the human race. I may be short, but my voice will be heard. You don't have to shout to get the last word. I am American, just like you. Your conversation should not express how you feel about the way I should dress. I am American, just like you. But I am not concerned with whatever you do, for I will not be forced to feel sad and blue. I, too, am a part of the human race. So stand there and talk to me face to face. I was born in America, in a small town. So why do you pass me and your joyful smile turns into a frown? I, too, am a human being. I wonder why people say such ignorant things. I, too, am American, just like you. Who am I to play a fool? I am intelligent, sophisticated, and have great tact. I am a poet, a sister, and a wife. I have no reason to judge someone else's life. I am a woman, and I, too, am a human being, just like you.
And what inspired you to write that poem?
Well, when I walk down the street, for many years, I've noticed that people can be a stereotype, and they're just looking at no particular person at all. They don't know anything about you. They don't know where you come from, your background. They don't know your heritage. They just assume. But, because I dress the way I dress, I cover my hair, I wear a long dress, and people just assume. They don't know the truth. They just assume.
Mm-hmm. And would tend to maybe treat you differently because of their assumptions.
Yes.
I want to let folks know if they can get a hold of your creations, if they can get a hold of your books. Is there any way that they can reach you if they would like samples or the books that you've written?
Yes, they can visit Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com or even visit the local bookstore, People Called Women, 6060 Renaissance Place off of Holland, Sylvania Road. So the books are available in paperback or ebook, or you can find me on Twitter, Therza P. Cox, or even Facebook, and you can message me there.
And Therza is Therza P. Cox, COX.
Correct.
Great. Anything else you want to add before we end the interview?
Yes. This Monday, Monday, April 15th at 7 p.m., I will be a featured poet at the Black Kite Coffee Shop, 2499